The afternoon Lucy exposed her husband's big secret in front of everyone was the day the truth destroyed 3 lives at once. This is African Folktales with Nsinem. Listen to Lucy's chilling story. Lucy was on her way home from work when her car suddenly developed a flat tire. The road was lonely and notorious, and Lucy had no idea how to change a tire. She tried calling her mechanic, but his number was unreachable. Panic slowly crept in. A woman walked past, paused, then returned and asked why Lucy was stranded in such an area. After hearing about the flat tire, she offered to call a mechanic whose workshop was just down the road. About 45 minutes later, a young man in overalls approached her. Lucy was instantly taken by his good looks and his well-spoken English that she found herself stammering. Yes, I have a flat tire, she said. The young man smiled and got straight to work. Within minutes, the tire was changed. When Lucy offered to pay, he politely declined. She asked for his number instead. What's your name? Paul, he replied. If Lucy had known that this chance meeting would become the darkest chapter of her life, she would have stayed by that broken car all night. But fate had already introduced her to Paul, and there was no turning back. When Lucy got home that day, her mind kept on coming back to the handsome mechanic. She put a call across to him and requested they hang out together. It will be my treat. I just want to thank you for helping me in my time of need, Lucy insisted, and Paul obliged. If they had both known that in a few years they would be each other's worst nightmare, they would never have gone out that evening together. They hung out at one of Lucy's favorite spots, an amala joint that served the best amala in Surulere. They talked and shared laughs, and there Lucy learned that Paul was a first-class graduate of mechanical engineering. He told Lucy how he had spent the first 3 years after graduation attending job interviews but never got called for a job. He said it was frustration and the need to meet his financial obligations that made him go seeking work at a local mechanic workshop. Lucy learned he had been working there for about 5 years. Lucy felt bad for him. But aside from the sad situation with his job, Lucy enjoyed hanging out with Paul. After their little hangout, Lucy would occasionally drop by the workshop Paul worked to say hi to him, and most of the time she would bring lunch and they would eat it in her car. Lucy was the confidential secretary of the chairman of an insurance company. So one day she spoke to her boss about Paul. Her boss was a man that was hard to read, though he was a very kind man. He didn't ask much questions. He simply told Lucy to bring Paul's curriculum vitae. 6 months after, Lucy and Paul were in her car having lunch when Lucy pulled out an offer of appointment letter and gave it to Paul. The job came with a 3-bedroom apartment and a car. Paul was overjoyed. He thanked Lucy over and over again. Paul moved his mother and his sister into his apartment and resumed work. A year after, he proposed to Lucy. The proposal came as a surprise to Lucy because they were just friends. Lucy was physically attracted to Paul, and though she was fond of him, she had never thought of marrying him. But if she had a foresight of what she was going to experience as his wife, she would have outrightly rejected the proposal. Lucy thought about it for a while and decided on accepting the proposal. Their wedding was beautiful, and soon they settled into being man and wife. Their first year in marriage was beautiful, and being Paul's wife was everything Lucy had hoped it would be, and more. But a year after, the couple began to take the thought of getting pregnant seriously. The honeymoon was over. They tried for 1 more year and there was nothing, not even a miscarriage. Lucy became really worried. 2 years after their wedding, Lucy suggested to her husband that they should see a doctor to carry out all the necessary tests, but Paul declined. He told Lucy that he was fit and very fertile. Lucy took the test alone. After months of rigorous tests, the doctor finally sat Lucy down. Medically, he said gently, "There is nothing wrong with you. You are fit to have children." Lucy felt both relief and fear wash over her at the same time. If she was fine, then why was she not pregnant? And why was Paul so afraid of being tested? If you have any idea why Paul has refused to get tested, let me know in the comments. And while you're there, give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying my storytelling. Thank you. Back to the story. Paul's mother came to Lucy one day and asked her if her and Paul were not ready to have children yet. Lucy told her mother-in-law that she and Paul wanted babies and were actively trying. That opened the door for Paul's mother to start preparing herbs for Lucy to take. Sometimes she would even buy herbs from different people. Lucy didn't know how to reject the different locally made herbal concoctions her mother was bringing to her every market day. One day, after taking one of Paul's mother herbs that was to be taken on an empty stomach for 7 days, Lucy developed a terrible stomach ache that landed her in the hospital. She was hospitalized for 2 days and advised by her doctor to stop taking those locally made herbs. But the real challenge Lucy began to have in her matrimonial home wasn't her mother-in-law. It was Paul, her husband. He became very insensitive to her needs and feelings. When Lucy would beg him that they should both see a doctor, he would flare up and tell her to go find the solution to her problem, that he was fine. Lucy continued doing more tests and trying more fertility drugs until life took a different turn. Lucy was in her kitchen making lunch on a cool Sunday when Paul walked in with a pregnant woman. At first, Lucy thought it was a distant cousin, but no, it was not a distant cousin. The pregnant lady was seated comfortably in Lucy's sitting room with a young boy of about 12 years old. Paul asked his wife to sit, and there he gave her the most world-altering news. The pregnant lady was carrying his baby, and the young boy was his son. Lucy burst into a loud, dry laugh. "Paul, if this is one of your dry jokes, stop. It's not funny," Lucy said. As Lucy looked from Paul's face to the lady's face and back to Paul, she knew it wasn't a joke. Lucy didn't know if she should shout or laugh. She asked Paul why he had hid his son from her, and he told her that he didn't know how to tell her. Paul went on to explain how the first pregnancy had been a one-time thing. "I'm sure you know how the second pregnancy came about." Well, Paul said it was a mistake. That one of the days she had gone to see his son, he had been emotionally down because of their inability to have a son, and one thing led to another, and he had been intimate with Ife, his baby mama. The explanation sounded crazy. It sounded like an explanation being given by a toddler. Paul requested that Ife move in so that his mother can help take care of Ife while she is pregnant. Lucy didn't know whether to laugh or scream. Her beautiful home was falling apart right before her very eyes. Lucy could not take it anymore. That night, while Paul slept, Lucy cried out her eyes. The next morning, Paul told Lucy to make an appointment that he was ready to see a doctor. At the hospital, Paul kept on saying that he was fine and that he was just doing the test to please his wife. Weeks after, all the results were ready. Lucy asked Paul to join her to go get the results. Paul told her that he already knew he was fit and that she could go get the results by herself. Lucy did go and get the results, and life went back to normal until Paul started acting up. He started by saying he had to move into Ife's room. His excuse was that she was pregnant and he had to be with her. When Lucy would beg him to have some intimate moment with her, he would tell Lucy to her face that there was no need for that, and that they had years together and nothing has come out of the intimate moments. Those words hurt Lucy so much. 3 months later, Ife put to birth. It was a baby girl. Everyone in the house was happy for Ife and Paul.
When Lucy went to carry the baby, Paul said she shouldn't, that the baby was too fragile and Lucy didn't know how to properly carry a newborn baby.
Just before the baby's dedication and naming ceremony, Lucy sat her husband down and asked him what the plan was with Ife. Was she going to permanently live with them? Are they now in an open marriage? Or is this some sort of polygamous situation? Paul flared up. "Ife, is this what you wanted to discuss with me?" he screamed. Lucy tried to pacify him. "I just want to know where I stand," she said in a calm voice. "Well, if you must know," Paul said as he got to his feet. "My children stay with me," Paul said, and walked out. On the day of the child dedication, Paul could not contain his joy. Family and friends gathered. There was food, drinks, and good music. Paul and Ife wore the same outfit. They were twinning the way couples do. Then Lucy walked up to the DJ, whispered something into his ears, and picked up the mic. What do you think Lucy wants to say? Drop a comment. I am eager to hear what you think her big announcement will be. A warm shout out goes to Carlene, Naya, and Phoebe for interacting with me in the comment section. Back to the story. As Lucy rose to her feet, her fingers tightened around her purse. A memory flashed through her mind. Paul's voice months ago, cold and sharp. Maybe you're just not woman enough to give me a child. Her chest tightened, but this time it wasn't pain, it was strength. Please, can I have your attention? Lucy said. And the DJ cut the music and everywhere was silent. I want to thank Ife for this beautiful occasion, for getting pregnant for my husband and moving into our home with her son. A son I didn't even know my husband had, Lucy exclaimed, and let out a very dry, awkward laugh. She signaled to someone, and in a few seconds, 3 women came out with envelopes and passed them to guests. In that envelope is my husband's children's DNA test results. None of those children are his. The 12-year-old boy and little baby are not his children, Lucy said, as she turned to look at Paul. My loving, conniving husband, you are sterile and have been for years, Lucy said, and everyone gasped. You had an advanced case of syphilis that rendered you sterile. You would have known that if you had bothered to look at the result of the test you begrudgingly did.
So I believe your baby mama has some explaining to do. You thought I was the barren one, but joke's on you. I am 3 months pregnant, Lucy said and put down the mic. Paul's fingers started trembling. Sweat gathered on his forehead as whispers spread through the hall like wildfire. His lips parted, but no sound came out. For the first time in years, Paul looked small. Wait, he's sterile? Someone gasped. Then whose child is that? Another voice whispered loudly. The murmurs grew louder, sharper, slicing through the celebration like broken glass. Lucy met his eyes and smiled. Not a cruel smile, a calm one. The smile of someone who had finally taken her power back. She picked up her bag and walked to her car. She could hear the murmurs from people as she strode to her car. Lucy had gotten a donor sperm months ago. When she had seen the test results, she had been shocked. Then she became angry at Paul for subjecting her to so much pain and anguish when he had been the problem all along. Immediately Lucy got to the house, she put her already packed boxes into her car and drove to her new apartment. Oh, she would have loved to hear how Ife would explain the paternity of her 2 children to a very sterile Paul after the hot presentation she just did at their baby's dedication. Do you think it was wrong of Lucy to tell everyone Paul's medical history and the paternity of his sons? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Months after, Paul came to Lucy's place of work with flowers, begging for Lucy to take him back and that he was sorry. Lucy looked at him and didn't say a word. She went to a seat and simply picked up her phone to send a text. Minutes after, some security personnel came and escorted Paul out of the premises. That didn't deter Paul. He kept on begging and pleading with Lucy to take him back. If you were Lucy, would you take him back and raise the child with him? Or would you walk away and never look back? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Share this story with a friend or 2 that will enjoy it. Lies may walk proudly in daylight, but truth always waits patiently for its moment at midnight. Click on this story on the screen for more entertaining African tales from me. I'll see you there.